Whole lot of gang shit. It's a whole lot of gang shit going on. What's good, y'all? What's cracking? It's your girl, Lady Rev, and we're here with another episode of Talking Out the Side of the Neck. Talking out the side of the neck is a space to merge fantasy and reality, social reform and talking shit, the truth and experience. So, here we are today to talk about manifesting, okay? Now, in the previous episode, Self-Induced Misery, I kind of feel like this manifesting stuff kind of goes hand in hand with that as well. So there's a couple of little points that I want to hit on. For one, do you know what you're manifesting? How are you manifesting things? How are your actions and your words aligning with, in your thinking process, how is it aligning with your overall path or where you see yourself going, right? And how are you enacting the power of manifestation in your daily life? Okay, so I'm going to try to stay on track and get to a point with this, so bear with me. Okay, so boom. The first thing that I think of when I think about manifesting in itself is actually your mind. We always hear people say that the mind is a powerful place. It's a powerful. I think it's one of the strongest tools that you have as a conscious person. And that just means like you're alive. And so, what's going on in your mind for real? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you is somebody who speaks down on themselves in their own head, like, okay, I'm gonna say, like, for me, right, I talk to myself a lot inside my own head. I'm always having conversations with myself, kind of going back and forth. And, you know, sometimes when I'm alone, I vocalize those conversations. I'll say it out loud, like when I'm in the shower or I'm walking down the street or some shit like that. You know, I'll just talk to myself out loud. But outside of me talking to myself out loud, most of the time I'm having full conversations with myself inside my head, right? I don't know if everybody is like that or, you know, I don't know. But my point is like, what is your thinking process like inside your head? What is the type of shit that you saying to yourself? How is you speaking to yourself? Is you speaking like death and sorrow and hatred and, you know, doubt and all that shit into yourself? Or are you really trying to speak light, love, and prosperity into yourself? Ooh, shoulder. About to sneeze. I got bad allergies. So yeah, you know, so it does kind of start in the mind, right? And it is hard sometimes to distinguish, like, when we're actually speaking life and love and prosperity into ourselves, and then when we're being like maybe having too much self-pity, maybe we are speaking down on ourselves, speaking hatred into ourselves and stuff like that. It's now when you come from a place of like perpetual trauma, pain, sadness, disappointment, it almost becomes like foreign to you to speak to yourself in a certain way, right? I think that's the power of affirmations. It's a privilege to know that your mind could create so much for you. And sometimes that privilege is just given to folks just because they don't have to experience a lot of shit. And then there's folks like me who earned the privilege of understanding that the mind is a very powerful place and can create and shape in ways that you probably wouldn't even imagine. And so coming from a place of like sorrow and sadness and disappointment, those things that I was saying, like, I think if that's the place that you come from and you're not currently speaking light, love, and prosperity into yourself, then we have to really just start there at your thinking process. And so it's okay to need help with this process too, especially if you're foreign to the process. So I kind of see that as that, for me, that's what affirmations are. Affirmations then become like the blueprint for people who are not used to speaking goodness into themselves. It becomes like a blueprint and foundation for you to start that practice of speaking more prosperity, light, and love into yourself. But that's the first level of the manifesting, though. And I think it ties in with the self-induced misery because, like I said, you know, sometimes we don't understand or we don't recognize the shit that we're manifesting into our lives. You know what I'm saying? Like if our thought process is like, damn, I'm always going through shit. This is just how life is, and shit is always gonna suck, and I can never get what I want, and I always get treated bad by people. Like, you know what I'm saying? If those are the type of thoughts that are constantly cycling through your head, to me, it would almost be like unrealistic to expect anything greater for yourself. And that's not because you don't deserve it, but it's because you're literally creating this environment of like toxicity and sadness and disappointment. Because you keep cycling those thoughts through your head. It's like really unhealthy. You know, I had a client one time who was telling me like when they were going through a really hard phase of depression. And during that phase, they couldn't listen to like gangster rap type shit where everybody's like shoot, shoot, kill, kill, fuck everybody. They was like, I couldn't even bear listening to that type of music because I was already going through so much. So imagine gangster rap is your cycle of life in your head. You know what I'm saying? So then what do you expect your reality to be? I mean, I would expect it to be more gangster rap. I'm not going to expect neo soul from the motherfucker who thinks about stab, stab, shoot, shoot, kill, kill all day. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. So yeah, I just we got to start right there in the thinking process. Now, the reason I kind of consider it a privilege is because, like I said, if you haven't been through no shit, or if you haven't been able to like heal yourselves in certain ways, then it just kind of sounds fantastical. It sounds like a motherfucker is just like telling you some bullshit to pacify you, or you know what I'm saying, to ease your sorrow at that current moment or some shit. It just sounds like bullshit. Especially if it's coming from a motherfucker who ain't never been through nothing. So to hear that cliche ass shit like, man, your mind is a powerful thing, and you can do whatever you put your mind to, and da-da-da-da. Like, it's hard to really invest and believe in some shit like that when your usual train of thought, the shit that you see and all of that is reflecting such negative things, right? And so, boom, where are you at in your process? How do you identify what you're actually manifesting? How do you learn to practice better thoughts for yourself? I don't know, I'm all over the place. But yeah, how do you do that? I think affirmations is a good foundation for folks who are just starting blank. Like, you don't have any previous experiences. You don't know any people that actually do that stuff. You've never been interested in doing that in the first place. And so then it becomes like I said, it's a blueprint. It's a foundation for you to build off of that you may not have previously had. So I think that's just like a step A or whatever. But it's up to you. Like, how do you challenge and change your thinking process? Now, manifesting starts in the mind. It starts with your thinking process. And then I think there is a connection between... Oh, I forgot to call my time on. I think there is a connection between the things that you are thinking and saying and the shit that you're doing. Okay? Now, that to me, that's the next level to the manifesting shit. Like, if I am thinking a bunch of positive shit, then I will also be doing positive shit. And so positive shit will happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm not... And so, yeah, like, one thing that comes to mind when I think about, like, your words and your thinking to align with your actions, I think about the phrase, like, good intentions, okay? I recently had a conversation where I was expressing that, you know, good intentions do not always supersede actions. So if you have good intent or you have positive thinking or something, and your actions seem to keep being on this lower level side, or maybe like you keep doing a bunch of shady shit or just questionable shit, or like, you know what I'm saying, like the things that you do really contradicts the good intent that you have, then the intent cannot be good. There's no way in hell, you know what I'm saying, like it has to make sense. Make it make sense. If you have good intentions and you have good and positive thoughts, then why are you doing negative shit? You know what I'm saying? That wouldn't even make sense. So how would that, you know, can you see how that could interfere with the manifesting process in general? Like, if I'm trying to manifest success for myself, but then I don't put any actual work in to achieve that success, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of failing in that process, because it ain't gonna fall out the fucking sky. It's not gonna just fall upon my lap. There's some work that has to be done and put in behind it. So then it just creates these unrealistic ideas about what manifestation is and how it's used in your life. I think that's a big point, because, you know, I do feel that manifesting is a responsibility. Okay? Like, going back to the episode about like recognizing choices, stocks and mistakes, shit like that. Like, it is our responsibility to understand what our actions are, how they're being perceived or projected, and also how they align with the overall path that we've set for ourselves. It's a responsibility. So if we are not fully active in that responsibility, if we're not being accountable for ourselves, then I don't think it's fair for us to expect like success with that manifestation. And sometimes the success of your manifestation is more pain, is more trauma, is more complications and stuff like that. That's why I said, like, can you identify how shit is manifesting in your life? And if your actions and your words are not aligning with each other, and your thinking is not pushing yourself and speaking life into yourself, then be real. What the fuck do you think will be created in your life? Like, what's gonna come of that? And, you know, I think I said in the Love Yourself episode, like, nobody is responsible for our process. Nobody's responsible for loving you. Nobody's responsible for making sure you succeed. Nobody's responsible for, you know, giving you whatever you feel like you need. Those are all your responsibilities. So, creating the life that you want for yourself and that you see for yourself, the responsibility, manifesting that, falls solely on your shoulders. It ain't on nobody else's fucking shoulders. It ain't nobody else's job. Like, motherfuckers can help you along the way, but you are the footwork. You are the captain, you're the leader, you're the inventor, you're the creator. And so, yeah. What are you manifesting? And how does it align with your path? What's your thinking like? And if you identify which phase of this that you're struggling with too. You know what I'm saying? Just take it bit by bit. Like, start with your thinking. Like, man, do I think highly of myself? Do I speak light and love into myself? Do I strengthen my mind through research and learning, so that I can have the skills and power necessary to create what I want? Okay, boom. From that step, the next step is okay, now that I know, you know, what my thinking process is, now that I know what I need to improve upon in that area, and then I start to work that better. Now, how does this align with the actions that I take? How do my actions now connect to this thinking and to my words? Okay, if the actions are creating, okay, boom, now the actions are happening. Now, what are my ideas of how this physical manifestation will look? And to keep it simple, like, I want to write a book, right? That's the thinking. I want to publish my first book. This book is going to be about healing, and so on and so forth. So from there, I had to actually, like, that was the thinking, right? Right? Now the action was writing the goddamn book. The action was writing the fucking book. Writing the book, send it to somebody to be edited. Now I got the book cover in the works. I got this, that. Now I can put this all together, and now I can publish the book. So the physical manifestation of me wanting to write a book is that a book has been written. A book will be published. The book will be available. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's just the easy way to kind of try to symbolize what the fuck I'm talking about. So it's up to you to figure out where your hiccups is at. And if you feel like you're manifesting shit that you didn't want in your life, then go back to your thinking. Like that, it's really easy. Like it all starts, it really does start right here, right here, right here. And I always talk about these thin lines. There literally is so many thin lines. There's a very thin line between self-pity, denial, self-hatred, self-defeat. Thin line between those type of levels of thinking to self-empowerment, self-love, speaking light into yourself, building knowledge, building understanding. Those are two different bridges. And if you are not in tune enough with yourself, knowing enough with yourself, you might blur those lines. And you might think it's on this side when it's really on this side, and vice versa. So be mindful. Take some time to really evaluate that shit. Write it the fuck down. You can write shit down. Like, it's crazy how much motherfuckers don't like to write no more, but there's literally a physical memory happening. It helps to retain information, process information better. Not for everybody, but honestly, it is something you should try. Write shit down. Waste some time. Go back and read that shit and reflect. Like, damn, I used to think that way. Damn, I can't believe that's really what my thinking cycle would be. And then challenge yourself on practicing better habits. It's just challenging yourself. Like, nobody's going to do the work for you. Nobody's going to be here trying to check every 5 seconds. Like, hey, how's that thinking going? Hey, you doing better? Hey, you making improvements? Like, you're going to have some people that'll check in on you and stuff like that. But, like, healing has to be a self-centered process. So, check in with your goddamn self. Hey, this journal last week, this journal this week is sounding a lot better than last week. We're starting to see that. And if you need a certain type of help like therapy, counseling, mentorship, shit like that, like, reach out for them type of resources. Because that shit can help too. I've worked with a lot of people who felt like, man, I'm just going to be sad forever. I'm going to be depressed forever. I can never be happy. And after some months of doing some work, they start to get a little bit more like, I think I can do this. And then they start doing shit on their own. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you need that little extra support. You need that buddy system. But be accountable for your process. We literally can create whatever our mind has the power to perceive. We could create it for ourselves. But if you do not believe that, that is literally the only thing stopping you from actually manifesting your desires. You actually have to believe it. And I'm not talking half-ass believing. None of that. Like, you gotta wholeheartedly be like, I could never fail. I am going to be loved beyond all measures. Somebody's going to love me like I love my goddamn self. I am going to have properties. I'm going to have successful businesses. I'm going to have a beautiful family. Like, it has to be a wholehearted belief. And if anything disturbs your belief, then the belief isn't secure. So what? Go back and secure it. Hey, all this stuff ties in. All this stuff ties in. A lot of stuff is going to sound repetitive because it all ties into each other, and it kind of all centers back into the same places and branches back out again. So yeah, that's all I got. I don't have much more. I feel like I'm a little bit rambly because I feel like I've made my point. You want to create more for yourself, you got to do the goddamn work. Process the mind, the thoughts, the talk, process the actions and the connections thereof, and then being able to recognize and identify what that manifestation could look like. Boom. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Talking Out the Side of the Neck. Be easy, stay breezy. Don't get kidnapped by no white peasies.